Okay, this is chapter 16 of The Body of Christopher Creed. You have ESP, Ellie said as we walked down the road. That's where Beau called me from. I just have to see him. I don't know how I'm going to do this for 2 weeks, but I'm afraid to ask your mom, if he can come over. Yeah, I don't know what she would say. I tried to think about it. I don't think she's as prejudiced as a lot of people around here. But after just confessing to making that phone call, God, why did he do that? I wonder if she believes him. At any rate, I don't know if she wants him all hanging out in the basement with us yet. We got to Wawa and Beau was out there pacing and huffing on a cigarette. No other kids were there, but he pushed us around to the side of the building anyway. Listen to me, you're not doing 6 months in Jamesburg for that phone call, I told him. You got a better idea, he asked. Do you want to do 6 months in Jamesburg? No, but I couldn't take the thought of how many people depended on him. Allie, Greg, his brothers and sisters. Look, 6 months is the max. I won't get the max, he reasoned. I ain't never been actually sent up before. Fortunately, all those robberies I pulled, I never got caught with anything in my hands, and I always got caught before I could leave the property. He laughed like that was something hysterical. So I never been charged with robbery, only breaking and entering. That ain't worth the taxpayers' money. Besides, if we find Creed, his old lady will be so happy she'll, wet herself and forget I'm such a bad guy. Let me see the diary, he mumbled, and Allie pulled it out of her jacket. I got so caught up in that, I actually let the phone call thing go for the moment. Allie opened the diary to a page where she had a matchbook stuffed in it and held it open to him. She pointed to a line. What do you think it says? She asked him. He looked, and I looked beside him where she pointed. She took the cigarette from Beau, and I could hear her inhale to her toes. Stupid things, she muttered. I've got to be addicted to them. I felt like I was going crazy hearing you smoke over that phone. Beau pointed to a word that followed the word Isabella. Tarzan? Tarzan? What do you think it is, Adams? It must be the girl's last name, I figured, staring at the letters. Creed's handwriting was awful. Beau cursed in frustration. I said, wait, let's back up and read a little bit. Maybe it'll just back into our heads after we've looked at his handwriting long enough. I went along as best I could. We sat down on the beach and stared into the evening stars. I read aloud. It looked like stars. I lay down thinking that she would lie down too, but she was too shy. I sighed in disgust, and Beau cracked up. Come on, Adams. 2 virgins rolling around in the stars. That's sweet, He was trying to be serious, but was laughing a little. I tried to be serious. I finally reached for a strand of her long, blonde hair. I cleared my throat and pulled her backwards. She was very shy and did not want to at first, but after a moment she did. I kissed her lips, and before I knew it, my hand was cupping her breast. Beau nudged me, half knocking me off my feet for laughing. I quit laughing, but had to find my place again. Her breast, and I said to her, Isabella Carsden, I love you. Carsden. It's Isabella Carsden. I spelled it out and handed the book back to Allie quickly. That was a death-defying feat in not laughing anymore. Allie threw down the cigarette and said, wait here. She disappeared around the corner and came back a few minutes later with the Wawa phone book. Manager said I have to bring it right back, so hurry. She flipped open the pages to the K's, and we looked down them. There were 4 Carsdens and Margate, no Isabellas. None of us had a pen, so Beau and Allie each memorized 1 number, and I memorized 2. After Allie returned the phone book, we tried 3 of the numbers, which turned out to be the wrong people. We ran out of change. I went inside to get more by buying my macaroni and cheese. I didn't really feel like eating it at this point, but I needed dimes and quarters. As I was standing there, lo and behold, Alex and Renee came in. I waved at them, trying to act casual. Alex came up behind me in line, and Renee went to the candy aisle. Hey, Alex said. Hey, what's up? I could feel him staring at me. You left school sick today, so I figured we had no band tonight. Right, I said. For once it was me, totally forgetting. I don't suppose it's any coincidence that you're in here and Allie McDermott is outside? He didn't mention Beau, and I hoped that meant that Beau had seen them coming and cut out into the darkness. No, I said honestly. Her mom is in Florida for 2 weeks, and she's staying at my house. Her little brother, too. Our moms worked it out or something. I could see his eyebrows shoot up, with a look of apology wafting off his face. Oh, he said. Well, do you think it would be nice to explain that to your girlfriend? I heard you blew her head off on the phone today. She was a mess. You could have told her what was up. She accused me without giving me a chance. I started in, but didn't want to blame the whole thing on Leandra either. It sounded wimpy. Renee had come up beside Alex with a bunch of candy in her hands, and she said, "Why in the hell does Allie have to stay with you? She could have stayed with me. You're a guy." "So?" I asked, for lack of something better. She had big ears, hearing all that. "It just doesn't look very good, that's all. How do you think Leandra feels?" It didn't feel very good thinking I had to run my life around this relationship that was starting to seem kind of annoying and small. You know what? I just don't think I can be with Leandra right now, you guys. I'm going to tell her tomorrow. So don't butt in and tell her first, okay? I just blurted it out. But after I did, I felt some great relief. I couldn't believe it. Last night, lying in bed, I was all afraid of losing her. Now I was saying I would break it off. "What is up?" Renee asked. She started in with how they were my friends. "If you're really my friends, you'll just have to hang back from me right now. I can't explain." They were pissed. The manager was waiting at the register, and Renee burst past me, pushing me hard in the shoulder. I wanted to grab a clump of her hair and pull it out. She paid and stalked away. "She's precious," I muttered to Alex. "Yeah, well, you always said you never wanted to get on her shit list." He grinned all smug. "You're on it. Leandra's her friend." "Yeah, well, so am I. Maybe you guys could grow up. Thank you." I flipped the 5 onto the counter and watched the manager reach into the drawer. "I need quarters and dimes for the phone booth, please." "Ooh, that's grown up," Alex said. "What are you guys calling, 900 numbers?" "Bite me," I said under my breath, took the change and walked outside. Outside, Renee was big time in Allie's face. Beau was nowhere I could see. "Could have stayed with me and Ryan. You have to butt in on Leandra's turf? Are you stupid?" "No, and it's none of your business," Allie came back. "Leandra's my business. She's my friend." "Oh, get a life," Allie said, backing away from her. "It shouldn't matter to you where I stay." "Your stupid sex life makes it a problem where you stay," Renee hollered. "I didn't cause your legendary rep, Allie. You caused it. If people think you're a slut, that's because you practically begged them to. My dad told me about your mother. Well, guess what? You're no better." Allie balled up her fist, and before I knew what was happening, Renee went flying into me, all screaming. Allie screamed next. Surprised at her own punch, I guess. I grabbed Renee, and Alex was hollering, "Ladies, hold up." Renee elbowed me in the gut, and I thought my whole chest had caved in. "Renee, Jesus!" I yelled, trying to keep from slinging her into the wall. "Maybe you don't know her mom is a major slut, Tori." I grabbed her by the hair to keep her off Allie. That got Alex bear-hugging me from behind, which wasn't helping my aching gut. Renee spat out, "Well, I know about her mother. My dad told me." An enormous hand reached from behind the wall and gripped Renee's wrist, keeping her from swinging. As Beau came walking out, Renee walked backward, and he continued walking forward. He finally slung down her wrist. He said, "God, you look funny when you're scared, Bowen. You don't get scared too often, I guess. Not with that big, fat mouth of yours always flapping along in front of you." "I'm not scared of you, you tard," she croaked. He jumped forward at her, hollering, "Rah!" or something, she screeched. I started laughing under my breath. It was funny, watching her piss herself, considering she just sent my gut halfway to hell with that elbow job. "Why are you so scared, Bowen? Let's see, is it because I'm a boon? Or is it because you think I'm a murderer? What, you think I did Creed? And I'm coming to do you next? Rah!" She screamed again and worked her way over to Alex, who said, "Maybe we should all just make it like a tree and leaf." "My dad's a cop," Renee breathed nervously. "Don't fuck with me." She looked so ridiculously scared, and it was pissing me off that she could assume Beau might kill someone without even knowing him. She could be just as vicious as he could sometimes, and no one was accusing her. Beau was laughing. Oh, yeah, right, Renee, I killed him. He looked at me with those huge laughing eyes. How did we do it, Adams? I forget. I wanted to frame her face to remember the day Renee Bowen got scared. Who knows? Maybe I still had the Digger Haynes story in my head. "We took a gun and shot him?" I asked. I felt guilty right away. I didn't really want to make fun of them. I only wanted Renee to know what it felt like to be on the receiving end. Oh, that's right, I forgot. I took a gun and shot him and left him for dead in the woods, Beau said. And as for your dad, it's way funny that he should be calling Mrs. McDermott a slut. What does that make your dad? Allie grabbed his arm and croaked his name out with wide eyes. She had looked ready to croak since she'd hit Renee. That was so out of form for her, but now her eyes looked ready to roll back in her head. What are you babbling about, Richardson? Renee muttered. Beau ignored Allie for the moment. I mean, your dad was screwing her all last year. Allie let out a blood-curdling screech and covered her face with her hands. She started sobbing and shouted, Why did you have to tell her that? I'm never telling you anything ever again. I swear to God. She started to take off towards the woods, and Beau ran after her. I couldn't hear what he was saying to her, but I could hear her sobbing. That was stupid. Why did you have to be so stupid Why do you have to be so stupid sometimes? He turned and looked at Renee and Alex. Somehow Alex had my macaroni and cheese container in his hand. I couldn't even remember how that happened. They looked stun-gunned, like somebody had given them an electric shock. From Allie's reaction, I could feel in my bones that it was true. It seemed incredible at first. My friend's dad, chief of police, fooling around on his wife? I didn't think about hearing about Allie's mom and that perv that anything could shock me. But this did a little. I remembered Chief Bowen's face from the other night at the station when he was trying to get Allie and me to lie. He had a heartless streak. I had just never seen it so clearly before. Maybe I couldn't have handled it before, so I didn't let myself see it. I moved a step closer to Renee, enough to make sure she heard me, but not close enough so she could get a swing at me. I was worried about her revenge system and what it could do to Allie. Renee, whatever you do with that piece of information is your business, but remember this. Allie had held on to that for a year, so she wouldn't hurt you. Remember that when you get real tempted to open that big, unending mouth of yours in school tomorrow. Her neck snapped a little, and she stood there swaying, like maybe I'd give her a different way to think of things for a few seconds. She's lying. She got tears in her eyes, and her voice cracked. My dad wouldn't touch that turbo slut bag. She took off down the road without finishing, and Alex followed after her. I could tell she was really upset, and I wondered if it was because she felt in her heart that her dad was capable of it. I didn't know what to think. I ran over to Beau and Allie. I just couldn't help it, he spewed. Where does she get off passing her stupid judgments on everybody around here? She's calling your mom a slut when her dad was lying too? How can you just lie down for that, Allie? Because she is the daughter of the police chief who would love to put you away right now. All she has to do is walk into her house and announce that you just told on him. He will find some way to get back at you. It could break up his marriage. Allie, would you get the weight of the goddamn world off your shoulders, please? He shook her. You're not everybody's doormat. You don't have to protect guilty people. You don't have to make everybody love you. You don't have to do every guy just because he's there. The whole world is not your problem. You're going to get arrested, she hollered back. That's not your problem either. He pushed her aside and stalked off towards the woods. Where are you going? She cried. I'm thinking I should disappear until Chief Bowen cools off. That girl could have her dad all over me before dawn. He came back around to us and grabbed me by both shoulders. He muttered, Listen, look after her, but don't let her help anybody. Don't let her protect anybody. Don't let her carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. Then he kissed her really big and ran off into the woods. As we walked home, Allie was calm, almost cold. I figured there was no more crying left in her. I wondered where Beau would go. I really hoped he wouldn't drop into the black hole next to Creed. Allie went to sleep when we got home, or at least she pretended to. I wasn't tired anymore, and I remembered what I'd totally forgotten down at the Wawa. The last phone number. I looked it up again in our phone book and sat up in my bedroom, just staring at the phone. Truth was, I wanted something to distract myself from the idea of Beau out in those woods. I finally picked up the phone and dialed. I got an answering machine. It sounded like a businessman's voice. You've reached the Carsden residence. To leave a message for Doug, Athena, or Isabella, please wait for... My heart jumped. Bullseye! I was so wound up I didn't know quite what to say. The beat made me try to find my voice. This message is for Isabella. I'm a friend of Chris Creed's. We're sort of looking for him. If you could please call me back. I left my phone number and hung up. I lay on my bed trying to clear my mind of so many things, but little images kept passing in front of my eyes. Beau sleeping out in the woods, Creed's body lying dead in the woods, Creed at a psychic's hearing of his own death, Creed and some sweet innocent Margate girl down on the beach doing whatever. I tried to dredge up some image of what she might tell me, but I couldn't get any. If I ever fell asleep, I don't remember doing it.